It's Monday morning, we have orders to pack. People are home because the school holidays have started. Number 625. Good morning everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is John. I'm a full-time eBay seller based in Melbourne, Australia. I mostly sell toys, but I also have clothing that I've started a year ago. These are the items of clothing that we've sold over the weekend, which is very encouraging, seeing sales increase with increased listing effort. I'm also getting smarter at sourcing, and I'll show you some of the items we've sold here. There'll be some low-end stuff, but also some high-end stuff that you can look out for when you're out in the thrift, flea market, wherever it is that you source your items. I've been selling full-time now for about 6 years. I find items mostly at the thrift store, Facebook Marketplace, flea market. I get given stuff for free to sell and also get given stuff to sell on consignment. Whatever income I make from the items I put on eBay is my full-time living. So if you're doing it on the side, or if you're kind of doing it full-time but wanting to make it more consistent, this channel's for you. Stick around, you might learn a thing or two along the way. Also consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Hopefully this video is evidence enough of why you should give this video a like if it is helpful, and also consider joining our Discord community. That's free to join. Links in the description. Let's pack. So first up, in terms of clothing we've sold over the weekend, we have a pair of nudie jeans. So nudie jeans is this logo here. Those of you guys who are wanting to get into jeans, if you've ever been to the jeans rack in the op shop, you'll notice that they all more or less looks the same. And if your point of attack is to look at the finish or to try and find a pair of jeans that looks like it's solid, you know what I mean, where you can tell, where if your eyes go, I can tell jeggings from like classic cowboy jeans that are rough to touch. First of all, great. Secondly, when was the last time you actually wore a rough pair of jeans and thought it was a great quality pair of jeans? What I'm trying to get at is, you've got pure cotton jeans that are like rough, you know, the stuff that cowboys wear with their boots and dust gets on them and it takes a sharp knife and a awkward piece of rusty metal to actually cut through the thing, versus say your cotton elastane nylon jeans that are a little bit more stretchy, a bit more comfortable. Stretch jeans are in. And so if you're going through that and you're going, I see hard jeans but the label's crap, and I see ankle jeans, you know, Kmart jeans, I see Target pairs that I just don't really want to pick up for the price, look at this, look for this label on the back. And usually when they're hanging jeans this way, which means that this label's at that corner, what I find is if I stand on the other side and reach over the rack and kind of shuffle through, I get a clearer view of what I'm actually picking up, and I just reach over. If it's a 6 foot, if I'm 6 foot tall, so if me being 6 feet gives me that advantage, I don't mean it that way. But what I found is that that's been a great way to not waste time going through every single pair of jeans. I can just kind of go and go, that one, pull it out. And most of the sought after pairs of jeans have very distinctive, whatever these labels are called. The leather patch that's behind your right hip. So yeah, these nudie jeans sold for $38.22 on a best offer plus shipping. My average sale price at the moment with the store, I think is sitting around that. If I look it up very quickly, so what's 10,600 divided by 231 orders? It's like $45, $46 plus shipping. Including shipping, sorry. So therefore, if shipping for me is like $10, like $36, which is not bad. It used to be in that $15 range because I was picking up like t-shirts that I thought were cool, but then they weren't really that sought after, or they were sought after but not at the price point that, you know, is more than $20. And then I was also picking up some dresses that I thought would sell for $40, $50, but then ended up selling for closer to $20. So I'm still learning, and given that it's only been a year that I've done this, and I'm seeing my average sale price my average sale price over 90 days push up close to that $40 mark. I'm quite happy about that. That being said though, that's not my focus with this store. My focus with this store is to get traffic. Whenever I look at any business, the first question people ask is, how much is someone willing to pay for something? So if you think about if someone wants to make a new coffee cup, right? Because coffee cups, every so often there'll be a Kickstarter for this coffee cup that has this material that makes it sustainable, yada yada. But the question is, if a keep cup costs say $15 and then a glass one costs $20, given that reference point, will anybody pay 50, 60, 70, 100? So that's the first question. But then the second question is, if the people willing to pay don't come through the store, you're not actually going to make sales. So for me, the focus at the moment is I'm sitting at 2.5 items sold a day on average. I want to get it to 3, 4, really until I get to about that 5, 6 items a day in that clothing store, because this is a part-time store, by the way. Our total 90-day revenue is about $60,000. This is just a small portion of that, but it is the portion that will help me to give Jenny the option of cutting one day off work if she would like to do that at some point in the future. She used to do 3 days and now she's on 4 days because after COVID the business did take a dip, but then she's been kind of doing that 4 days for a while, and I kind of want to give her that option. As much as she's enjoying work, it was from different circumstances, but the point being is, I think as a husband, if I'm able to, we talk about running a business, we talk about giving us options, this is one of those things. So I created this store purely for the purpose of giving her that option. Whether she takes it or not is besides the point. If she doesn't take it, we have savings, more savings. If she does take it, then great, I've done my job as a husband. So yeah, this clothing store, I want to get it to that 5, 6 a day, and I think at that point in time, she can comfortably take that day off if she would like to without worrying too much financially. For those of you guys who don't know, I guess, our circumstances, we have our own place. We do have a mortgage. We've got 2 kids. They do go to private school. So in terms of does this reselling business give us a lot of nice things? Yes, but nice essential things. So you're not going to see me drive a fancy car, wear a fancy watch, or flash a bunch of nice toys because I have this business. But it does allow us to, give the kids the good education that we believe they deserve, and also allow us to live, to be warm at night. So yeah, these pair of jeans, $38 plus shipping. I'll stick with the jeans theme. This is Gustin. Gustin is a brand that I have never come across before until I saw this pair. It is in that kind of bright olive green. The buttons are very thick. I did talk about this in a previous video as well. And I did ask you guys whether you guys thought it would sell quickly, whether it does well for you guys. This is one of those situations where if you're comping at the thrift store and you don't set any parameters and you just go search for an item, say you put in Gustin jeans green, right? You don't want to limit by size because size is based on who's listing what size at what time. You want to know that brand and that cut and maybe that color, how available is it? You'll get a bunch of listings, mostly overseas. And the feedback I get within our Discord community is that, hey guys, I've comped this, there's so many overseas sales, what do I do with that data? And the easy answer is, well, just sort it by Australia versus overseas. So if you change the location to Australia, the results cut back significantly, and it's a good indication of, hey, does this item actually have any local demand? Most people usually will find that a good chunk of those items are local, in which case then great, the algorithm has given you results with lots of local sales, and then you go, given the local sales, so let's say there are 20 listed and there are 10 sold, do I want to participate in this small pool? Or given that the 5,000 items that are available overseas, 5,000 items available worldwide, if 2,000 of them sell worldwide, including Australia, we'll go 40% sell through over 90 days. Great. But then if locally it becomes, there's 1,000 of them in Australia, but only 10 of them sell, it's not as encouraging, right? So there's more nuance to sell through than just a case of going at that top number, 5,000, 2,000, because your item may not actually move from Australia because it's available overseas. You may price it competitively, you may have an item that is sought after, but if there is an option there, it's not going to move from here because it's more expensive to move from here. Do you guys get it? Yeah. And even if it's cheaper to move from here, it may not arrive as quickly. So more factors than simply looking at active and sold. That being said though, this one, there was 600 plus items active globally, which is not a great number when you think about jeans, because most jeans brands have international numbers in the thousands. 600 plus of the brand. So Gustin jeans, 600 plus. Green, much lower. And then 500 plus sold globally, which means crazy sell-through. Almost 100%. Locally, 5 active, 4 sold. Still high, but a much smaller pool. So then I thought to myself, is this a color that's desirable in jeans? Do I see people wearing olive green jeans? I do. Army green is that sought after color. If you are a established jeans brand, this is the color that usually there's a strong following for, even if it's not the majority, because majority is blue and black, right? White, but green, you know, G-Star Raw, the blue jeans don't sell as well as, or for as much as the army green. So then I went, you know what, I'm gonna price it for the overseas market. I put up a listing price of $100, took a best offer of $75. It did sell within 2 weeks because this particular color was not available anywhere in the world. So that's what I mean when you're thinking about, will the item sell? Is it sought after? Does the brand have activity? Different things that come together to influence the sale. Did the brand have activity? A lot of activity. Were there people taking it off the market regularly? High sell-through. At the brand level? Yes. Is this a sought after size? Size 33. Size 33 is actually a pretty sought after size because it's the size for most men between 5'11" and 6'2", if they're slim. And then, is the color sought after? Yes. Just for this brand or across most jeans? Yeah. Most jeans sought after brand. Is it a well-made product? Yes. So price for international. Most of the American sales were around that 100 to 150 mark. So I went 100 and I went, you know what? Plus international shipping, it's going to work out to be about 120 anyways. In which case, this person ended up paying 115, including import taxes. Something to think about. What are the chances I'll see this brand again in the future? Probably quite low because up until I had seen this in the thrift, I'd never heard of it. And the thrift store that I found it at was also one of those obscure thrift stores. I can't find a correlation. So I'm happy to have the sale. I'm happy to know about the brand. If I see it again, I'm picking it up again. And so should you. Gustin. Another overseas item we sold was this really beautiful Zimmermann dress. This one cost us 25 bucks and it was quite hard to find comps. Zimmermann is a brand that I'm at the moment not liking because there's just too much out there, fake and genuine. That being said though, because the prices are so high, if you're able to get it low, you're able to price them low as well. So for me, I started this one at 400, dropped it to 300, and eventually took a best offer of 175. And this is going to the US. A lot of international buyers like Zimmermann from Australia. It is an Australian brand based in Sydney. But there's also a lot of product and a lot of beautiful product. And that's the problem. It's like, because a lot of that product's beautiful, you need to kind of go above and beyond to get that $400-500 mark. But this one, 170, I'm happy with it because we're making a fair bit of profit on it. Anyways, I'd love to know how you guys do with like higher end product. Do you find that it sits? Do you find that it moves? Do you find that after putting it up, you have to price down before it to move? Or do you get your asking price because it's sought after anyways? It's an interesting thing to price where you're pricing sought after like high value items above retail versus below retail. Because oftentimes people will say, oh, you know, Zimmermann, you're pricing down. Yeah, but we're also pricing below retail. Very rarely do I ever get retail or above retail. Whereas when I used to do sneakers, different story, it would be the above retail and then seeing how long it would hold above retail before it would go down below retail. Gaming consoles, similar story when something gets launched above retail, but then the time for it to come down is a lot faster compared to sneakers. So yeah, different categories, different movement, different behaviors. I think I'm gonna double bag this one, just in case. This is a pair of, oh, it's not a pair, sorry. This is a skirt, BCBG Max Azaria. It's leather. We sold it for $22. We were initially hoping for about 30, 35, but I'm okay with 22 because there's a stain on it. There's like a metal, not metal, like a leather scuff on it. I'll put a picture up. So this one, quite detailed, but then the style is kind of a bit old. It's a bit aged now. So it was always going to be a bit of a hopeful sale, but given that we paid $2 for it, we're still making money. I like skirts because skirts, I reckon in terms of clothing that I can process as quickly as toys, skirts are as close as you get. It's a box. Snap, 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 snap. Fold it, put it in a bag, as opposed to t-shirts that require folding of sleeves or holding up of sleeves if they flop, if the shirts are too big, or with dresses, you know, as you guys know, a lot more handling. So I quite like skirts. I'm quite happy to pick up skirts for cheap and selling them for cheap, as opposed to, say, I don't really want to sell $10 dresses, $20 dresses. I don't want to sell $10, $20 t-shirts, but for skirts, I'm okay because the time it takes, a lot less. It's another skirt. This one we did sell for $10. This is a Forever New mini skirt in a size 10. Faux leather black, pretty basic item. The person did message saying, do you have a cheaper shipping option? I said, and I know some of you are like, could get worked out when someone asks if there's a cheaper shipping option. They're okay. It's okay to ask because not everybody knows what the retail prices on shipping are. Bear in mind, not every buyer on eBay is a seller. In fact, a lot of them are not. And so all I said was, the retail price for a small satchel is this. We're charging this, which is below that retail, and we try and pass the discount on. She was like, thank you very much. That's it. $10 for shipping. This skirt cost us $1 off the dollar rack. Forever New is one of those brands where, and for those of you guys who don't have Forever New in your country, it's fast moving. It's like H&M, you know, what else? Zara, fast moving fashion, high retail price, very low resale price. Occasionally you can get a higher resale price if the item is brand new with tag. For example, there was a peplum dress in a size 16 navy that we sold for $50 back in the day. It was retailed for $149. So we're talking $149 to $50, brand new with tag, size 16, for somebody who actually wanted the dress, like a basic dress. But when they try and do too much with it, it doesn't move as much. In which case, then you're really waiting for the person with the taste for that particular item in a sea of a lot of that item. So I don't expect to sell Forever New for more than $20 for the most part. And if I do, yay. If I don't, then whatever. But I only ever pick them up from the clearance rack. It is going to my store. It doesn't take that much longer. It doesn't take that much more time to process. And their items are not like, what's the word, intricate. So yes, they make fancy, like they make nice dresses with frills and everything, but it's one piece. You know, you're not having to handle it with care for the most part. And I can kind of just fold it up, chuck into a bag, and it arrives, and the buyer's like, yeah, thank you for the dress, because the price point doesn't demand that level of care. So I will still pick it up in order to add to my store, to grow the number of orders that I do get. There'll probably be a point when I don't pick it up anymore, but at the same time, given that I'm sourcing only once a week, I do one area one fortnight and another area one fortnight. I cover about 10 op shops in the span of 2 weeks. Given the quantity of stock I'm picking up and what I'm able to process, I'm still picking it up because it's available. It's not bad that I don't pick it up yet. What else we got? We have an Orientic tank. Orientic is that beach brand that I love. Those of you guys who are not from Australia, it's an Australian brand. It's essentially this kind of stuff, you know, the kind of dress that you throw on top of your bikini when you go to Bali and have your nice fancy dinner by the beach. You know, it's presentable, it looks classy, but at the same time also beachy, relaxing. Mostly rayon, organic cotton, very breathable. So there is a market for them. Very hard to find them in stores if you're in Metro. It's usually along like the beach, the coast. So yeah. I do like picking them up, especially when I see them at the op shop. Usually when I pick them up, it's a whole collection of them at the op shop. We recently picked up a whole collection, I think about 16 of them from the one op shop, because someone just donated them all, a few sample pieces as well. Yeah, so usually brand new with tag, we can move them for between 40 and $60, and then if they are second hand, it's like between 20 for a 30 for a dress. This is a tank top. I would have wanted 20 for it. We sold it for 18. So you know what? Close enough. Also, if I'm talking too fast, you can slow me down. I think there's like a settings button you can click and then slow down my playthrough, but then I will talk like this. Maybe not. Let me know if I talk too fast. I can work on talking slower, but this is very much my natural pace. That being said, you can always improve, can't we? This is a Fender t-shirt. Nothing much to say about it apart from the fact that it's a pink t-shirt with the spaghetti logo. That's it. When I picked this up, I was like, you know what? I remember seeing people in Fender t-shirts. I play guitar, and so I figured somebody would want it. It is pink. I've never seen a pink Fender t-shirt before in the wild. We wanted 20. We sold it for $12.72. Very nice. Send the buyer an offer number plus shipping. And Nike vest jumper. So Nike, I don't pick up unless it's got some sort of functionality to it, where whether it be a real functionality or a fake functionality. This one is like a vest jacket. It's called a tech fleeced vest hoodie. So it's got like an asymmetrical zip. It's got a bunch of pockets. It's meant to keep the core warm once you go running. This one we picked up for $2. We sold it for $27 plus shipping. Would have wanted something higher than 30, maybe 40, but 40 was the asking price. 27, you know what? It's like 30%. So quite happy with that. I wouldn't pick up a Nike hoodie unless it's got that functionality. That being said, though, I will pick them up if they are like sharp and sleek, where it fits body type. You'll know what I mean. Like you'll see people who run around with hoodies that don't fit them well, and then you see the ones where the Nike hoodie is meant to fit them well. Those ones I will pick up, where the logo stands out, and generally it's two-tone, black or like a bright red or a bright green, and then just logo, and that's it. Alright, so we got it. Item from 05, which is here. Ultron. Oop, dropped one. 81, which is here. Tiny transformer. Very tiny transformer. There you are. Just checking that's exactly the one, because sometimes the skins are different from what we think they look like. That looks pretty much it. Come on, give me the car photo. Give me the car photo. That is the one. Yep, cool. JO2, 013, JO2. 13 is the one with the web. There we go. JO2, which is here. And we have 88, which is up top. Pretty sure this is the one. Just double check. Making sure it's got the glyphs, because it says Shadow Striker. Yep, that's the one. Up here. That tiny one. And we have J013. If it says refunded, it's because they paid too much shipping, so we've refunded their shipping, in case you guys are wondering. Zerg. There we go. Maple 4 is down here, which is you. Yeah. Okay, let's talk toys. So, this is Zerg. Hello, my name is Zerg. We sold Zerg for $19.95 plus shipping. This is not a particularly sought after character. We've had it listed for, how long now? I'm gonna say more than 3 months. 27th of November. Yeah, so we've had it listed for like 5 months now. Yeah, particularly common. This Buzz Lightyear movie didn't do very well. And also the characters were not that diverse, because most people didn't really relate to the different buzzes, the different ranges. As opposed to say Toy Story, where you've got the pig, you've got the, you've got the slinky dog, you have a lot of the rarer characters like the octopus, the phone, the weightlifting guy, even the bucket of like army men do well. So yeah, this wasn't a very diverse kind of character movie. So yeah, usually it's just Zerg, Buzz, and then the cat. This one, $19.95 plus shipping. I'm okay with that. This is going to go into a large satchel, because it is fairly solidly built, despite the fact that it looks like it's flimsy-ish. This is Superhero Girls Batgirl. This one we sold for $24 plus shipping. You can see there's some scratches on the actual box itself, but that's okay. It is still brand new in box. Superhero Girls, these Superhero Girls, there's actually a pretty strong following for them. Every time I've listed them, they've sold fairly quickly. Obviously, with this one new in box, it hasn't sold as quickly because I did want the new in box premium. This one we've had for more than a year. I picked this up at the garage sale for $1, so I was happy for it to sit. Didn't even realize I had it until it sold. It's like, oh, I still have this because every other one that I pick up tends to sell quicker. That being said, I think it's either 10 inches or 12 inches. They're as tall as this. This is 12 inches, I think. 35 centimeters, so 10 inches. So the 10-inch version of the DC Superhero Girls do a lot better. You've got Poison Ivy, you've got the Bee Girl, you've got Wonder Woman, Supergirl, or is it Wonder Girl? And then you have there's one more. Oh yeah, Batgirl. They also all get weapons, and they've got like attachments. You know, like Wonder Woman, she's got like her cuffs, and so if you do see them in the thrift, do research them on Google to make sure that their parts are there. Because sometimes you come home and realize, wait, one bracelet's missing, one leg attachment's missing, and you end up selling the doll for like as close to if the doll was naked price, in which case it's like $10. But if you have most of the pieces and the hair hasn't been cut, you're looking at a $40 sale price per doll, without even the weapon. So yeah, that's something worth keeping an eye out for. This order was surprising because I didn't. Oh wait, one more item. This is Ultron. He's a superhero masher set. It comes in pieces. This is going to Bulgaria. Thank you, eBay. That's all I'm gonna say. Thank you, eBay. If I didn't have an eBay store, I would not be ever thinking of selling to a country like Bulgaria. We've got another orders going to the Czech Republic later. We had an order go to Switzerland last week on Friday. So it's just never would think to do that unless we had an eBay store that helps us to move stuff like this. Back in the day before eBay, you would have to find a friend who wanted it and maybe put it in a you wouldn't even put it in the classifieds. You just go to the local market, have like a store. But then if how many thousand people that come through the market that day don't have any interest in this item, doesn't matter. But when you look at an item like this, how many impressions it takes to sell an item like that, I'll have a look and you'll see what I mean. We go to performance, we go to traffic, and then we go to the items that have sold, and it'll tell us. So this Ultron figure had 2,449 impressions over the last 30 days, and 9 people clicked on it, and it sold from that one out of 9. But if I go in the past 90 days, that Ultron had, I need to select the sold listings again, 7,632. Like 7,632 people were presented this item before it sold, and that blows my mind. So thank you, eBay. Without eBay, we wouldn't be able to do this. And this is the opportunity, right? You don't have to go to a supplier to make a product. You don't have to build a store and tie yourself to a franchise. You literally can go and find items that anybody in the world might want, put it on eBay, list it properly, take lots of photos, price it accurately, provide great customer service, and you have a business right there. And you just build it up from there. Yeah. So this order is going to a local buyer. They just came and paid asking price for everything. Hence why we have to pay back a bunch of shipping, because they ended up paying something like $30 something of shipping because they just kept adding to cart and then just checking out. And we do this combined shipping where it adds a percentage of shipping on every single item. And so the total sale was $350. Most notable items in here are, and I'll talk you guys through it. First one was this stealth Bumblebee. Tiny one is a Legion class. It goes for $10. Pretty straightforward item. This one is a Legion class from the Versus Shadow Striker set. So this one was like a US exclusive. They're both Camaros, but very different, if you can tell. Different generation. This one sold for 10. This one sold for 25. As it's part of like an exclusive 2-pack. On to more Bumblebees. This is the Stealth Bumblebee that sold for $40. This is the one with glyphs. That's a little bit translucent. This one sold for $40. This is Barricade. So Barricade is, if you remember watching the first Transformers movie, where Shia LaBeouf gets chased by this Ford Mustang police car, and they're driving through this like abandoned warehouse junkyard thing, and there's like dust flying everywhere, and you see bees running, and it's the first Transformers movie. We were all so excited. I remember I was like, whoa, just cheering. This is that car. So this is Barricade, that Ford Mustang police car. It does come with like a Frenzy figurine that's really tiny in there that fits into the front of the bonnet. So if you do see this figurine, check the front of the bonnet if it has the Frenzy figurine or not, because it fits quite snug. It doesn't actually come out unless you pull it out. Yeah, this sold for $40. What, $49.95, $50 plus shipping. And for $50, also this figurine, different size. Size doesn't matter when it comes to Transformers. It's rarity, it's what it's sought after, and what people are looking to add to their collection. So it's very much whatever the market price is at the time. Do your research every single time. Don't just assume they're all going to sell for X amount of dollars. Otherwise, I'll be buying them and selling for my price. This is a blue Ironhide Target exclusive figurine. Yeah, tiny, as you can see. It's Commander class, which is a little bit larger. This one was $50 plus the shipping. And then $139, $139.90 of the order was these two. So this is a Marvel Legends Spider-Man Toy Biz from the Sentinel wave from 2005. This one sold for $50. It's got the web kind of like parachute. So if it has the web parachute, make sure that the fabric isn't frayed. It still fits on him. And if the joints are stiff, you'll sell for good money, $50. This is the Walmart exclusive 2012 6-inch figure. I've got 2 of these in store at the moment. Actually, no, I've got 3. This one sold for $90. So yeah, all together in a medium box, $350. That's action figure action for our store. Very happy about that. And if you guys are wondering, hey, how do I get sales like this? Have a niche store. That's really all I can say. Not because a niche store brings particular buyers to your store, although that is one of the benefits, but because when you have a niche store and you're sourcing with that in mind, you are going to look for items very specifically. A lot of you will source based on what you notice as you go along, in which case then you have a list, you're going, yeah, I'm looking for this, looking for that, looking for that. But it's very easy to get distracted, as opposed to if you are on Facebook Marketplace and you're looking for one thing, you're framing your search, you're more likely to get stock that suits your store, and you're going to put it into your store. It's all going to be priced, coherently, meaning because this goes for 10, this goes for 50, this goes for 20, it's supposed to like, I found this 10 years ago and I sold it for 10. I saw this again and I'm going to price it for 10. It's random. It's not going to feel like you know what you're doing. And buyers also know you don't know what you're doing. And sure, you'll sell the item quickly, but for top dollar, not really. So yeah, if you want to have this like top dollar multi-item sale, have a niche store. It makes all the difference because it frames your operation and it frames the buyer experience. These are 2 cars. One is a Porsche 911 GT3 RS. One is a Honda S2000. This one has a Forza Horizon gaming licensing thing on it. This one's got Fast and Furious. Which one do you think sold for more money? This one. Both of them were from 2021. Both of them were on the rack at Kmart. And I did buy them for $8 a piece and kind of just left them for a bit. And Hot Wheels buyers do this. They'll buy stuff, they'll leave it, and then when it goes up in value, they'll trade a few for the ones that they want and, trade up their collection and so forth. The thing I want to point out with this is they were both on the rack. They both retail for the same. If you're looking to buy stuff and vault them for several years, I didn't intentionally vault these, by the way. These were just in a box somewhere and I completely forgot about them. And most people that you buy stuff from on Marketplace or whatever to resell, they're like that. They'll say, oh, I had a box of this stuff. I forgot that I had them. It's very normal for that to happen, and especially if you're buying to kind of hold for a later date. But to show you how things may not turn out the way you expect, depending on what you put your bet on, if you don't know what's worth what. This sold for $20 plus shipping. This sold for $46 plus shipping. This one's going to a local buyer. This one's going to the Czech Republic. This car doesn't sell for more than $30. I've sold it for 25 to one person in Switzerland last week, and then so because I listed 4 of them in one go. One went to Switzerland. These 3 are going to the same guy in the Czech Republic, and as you know, we make money on the shipping as well. So if you're thinking of retail arbitrage, if you're going, ooh, I'm going to buy and vault, just remember, it may not always turn out the way you want. It goes with everything, right? It's not just cars. This is just my example, which is why if you're looking to feed your family and you want it to be a regular income, this is not that strategy. This is very much I'll buy it as a long-term investment, like a term deposit. Those of you guys who have fixed deposits, you guys will know what I mean, or cryptocurrency even. You don't buy it hoping that you can buy a nice pair of shoes next week. You buy it hoping that you can buy a house in 10 years, or buy a nice car, or pay for that fancy holiday, or fund the wedding. That's what long-term investments are, for long-term returns. If you don't understand this very basic principle and you get into reselling and you buy a whole bunch of long-term investment stuff hoping that you'll be able to make some short-term gains, you'll actually end up losing money because you'll liquidate before it matures. This car would have sold for 10 bucks 2 years ago. If I liquidated 2 years ago, all my effort trying to find this car for what, $1 in profit after fees. This car didn't go past 20 bucks even 2 years ago. Only recently saw its price go up. And in fact, we sold a 31 Dodge Charger from this set for $39 that went to Austria. But prior to that, it was just any other car because Dom's 70 Dodge Charger, it's such a common car. They make so many of it. But for some reason, that particular one in cart, the price went up only recently. And so if you're buying stuff that is for long term, you need to wait for that long term moment before you cash in, which means that you need to be disciplined, splitting up your resources between the stuff that sells tomorrow and the stuff that sells in 3 to 5 years. And whenever you find yourself talking to any other resellers and they seem down on themselves, right? You'll realize I've been doing YouTube for, I guess, almost 3 years now, and I never run out of things to talk about because there's so many aspects to our businesses that affect us emotionally, whether it be the state of our garage, if it's in a mess or not. You'll notice it's a lot more organized now than it was before. Still has work to do. It could be the fact that we're not managing our cash flow properly and we're not able to buy stock, or we're buying stock and it's not stock that's moving right now that we hoped it would. Stock that we hoped it would. Two things to talk about. So when somebody says, don't do reselling, it's not for you, it's not for me, it doesn't work, hasn't worked for me, please don't take it on face value. Ask questions. And if someone is not willing to tell you their story and provide you with detail so that you can actually chew on that fat, don't take that advice. As hard as it might be, don't take that advice. It's so tempting to hear someone's feedback and go, I'm taking that because it's cheap and it's easy, and even if it confirms the way you're feeling, it may help you it may even help you not to take a risk, when in reality the risk could be worth taking for you if you knew exactly where that feedback was coming from. Always ask questions. If the person you're talking to is not willing to give you what feels like a full story, then move on. Let it go. Keep doing your research. Keep investigating. Keep working out if this business is a fit for you. It's not a fit for everybody. There are definitely pros and cons. You guys have heard me say on the channel many times, this business lets me stay home with my kids. It lets me be around the family. It lets the kids see the business that is being run. The visibility provides them with peace of mind that this is working. If I do this outside, whenever I go to work, if the kids want me to be around, they'll feel like daddy's not around. But they know daddy's around. They can hear me talking to you guys up there whilst they're on school holidays, But does this business allow us to do many overseas trips a year? No, because for the first part, I need to be here to actually sell stuff. Secondly, it doesn't make us that kind of money, but it does make us the money that lets us send the kids to private school, allows us to go on camping trips regularly, allows us to buy lots where the kids can have toys that they like, because I do sell toys, and then I'll sell the rest, things like that. It needs to be a fit. So yeah, do your research, and definitely don't just take the advice and the feedback of people in comment sections who are not willing to tell you their full story, because context matters. All right, let's pack these up. Oh, collector car, Hot Wheels Legends Tour, $50. If you see these ones, any Legends Tour stuff, pick it up as long as it is a real car, because they also have the pretend cars that are not worth a lot of money. All right. Got another half an hour, and then we got to go. I'm getting my back cracked today. Last week, I got to do Taekwondo grading with my kid.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, kick face first. Alright, 1, kick face first. Face first. 1, Carlo, give a big hand.
And I don't know how to not go hard, so I went pretty hard, and now I'm paying for it. My shoulder blades are all pretty locked up. So looking forward to go see Tracy, my chiropractor, who literally just lives around the corner, which is so cool because I can like pack and then just dash over. And yeah, looking forward to the relief because then that'll allow me to take photos of clothing once I come back. Okay, so we sold this Volvo truck that doesn't have the container on it for $495 plus shipping. You guys know that I think the last video I talked about there being containers on these things. If you find these in the wild and you go, I can't identify it because Google Lens isn't giving me what I want, chances are it probably had a container to begin with because you can see the slots there on the back. This is also fairly scuffed. This is going to a repeat buyer, so I'm not fast. But then again, in a niche store setting, yes, there are cheap items and expensive items. I've talked about this forever on this channel. You know, it's just the same as going to a fancy brunch place that sells coffee only. There will always be people who comes through and buys the coffee and just walks out. This is essentially the coffee cup that comes in and comes and goes. Not everybody will stay for brunch. So this is just part of business. It doesn't make it a bad business as long as you've got other things that bolster your business that allow you to have a level of income that you need. Yeah, so this is $495. I do charge shipping. I get that question a lot. How do you make a living selling cheap items with free postage? It's not free postage. We charge shipping. I charge shipping because a lot of my buyers are combined postage buyers, and it's for the store as well. Historically, the only time I've ever done free postage successfully, and by that I mean it fitted the category I was selling, was comic books. In terms of toys, it's never been free postage, always been buyer paid, and it's always worked out for me because I have a postage policy which adds a certain percentage to the shipping every time they add an item to cart. And the more they buy, the shipping goes up, and then usually it's more than enough to cover the actual cost of the shipping. Yep. Jenny's asking me to find her iPhone for her. I'm guessing the kids have been playing with it. This is an interesting one. It's a sign. It says Elsbridge Station. It's plastic. It's got stick. It's just stick it on. This one we sold for $8 plus shipping. Really, if you see stuff like this, right, just pick it up. And you might be thinking, oh, you know, what if the shipping is more than the track postage? Track postage. Somebody wants it. Trust me, somebody wants it. That's all it is, right? The number of times I hear sellers say, oh, but the cost of stamps, as if postage is an impediment, like it's a barrier for people to spend money. Not true. I've sold $2 cars plus $35 shipping to Europe. I've sold $10 trains plus $40 shipping. Like, shipping is just a cost to get something. It's almost like it's just access, really, you know, and these buyers don't care. Like the number of buyers I have in South America who will pay more shipping than item price over and over again, despite me saying, hey, buy more, I can ship more to you. Nah, one each, it's okay. They'll reply, it's okay. So if you see an item that's worth picking up and you have a track shipping model, just do it. It may sit for a little bit longer because, hey, price is still a factor, but it's not a deterrent. That's the word I'm going for. It's not a deterrent. Those of you who sell items for more shipping than the item is priced, let me know in the comments. It's not a deterrent, right? If you're saying to me, John, I don't want to sell cheap items because I want items that are more worth selling individually, that's okay. Just remember that the sentence ends with individually, which means that that's the model you're going for. Yes, I sell them individually, but I'm looking for multi-item orders. It's about the model. You got to understand that if you're able to find high-value items that sell individually, that's one skill set. Likewise, if you're able to find lots of low-value items and sell them in bundles that make sense, that buyers will pay for and buy regularly, that also is a skill set. And something I see in the reseller community is people judging from both ends. They'll go, I wouldn't pick that item up. Context matters. We talked about it just before. So ask questions about the model that supports the items that are being sold. If the model doesn't support that, talk about that fit, because the fit is what matters. It's not actually about the items. I say this on the channel forever. There are the people who sell rice and are millionaires, and there are the people who sell fancy fine dining rice on fancy fine dining plates who are millionaires. But there are also people at both ends of the spectrum that are bankrupt. That's just life. It's about the fit, the model, and what can be replicated. I would like to know, what's an example of an item or a category that you tried selling in, or a way that you tried to sell a certain category that in hindsight, man, it didn't work because of fit. Like, it was such a horrible fit. If I'd known that, I would not have gone about it that way. Let me know. I'd love to hear in the comments. I know that there will be other comments too, but I'll be tracking these comments and I'll be replying to them. So treat it like a safe space. And yeah, I'd love to have this discussion in the comments below. This is the, you guys remember the Pixar car hauler with the mini cars from a previous video? We sold it in less than 24 hours and for asking price. So $69.95 plus medium box shipping. So that comes with that. We've got 10 cars on one side, 10 cars on the other. Predictable. If you sell something enough times over and over again, it's predictable. It's funny because after I picked up this lot of cars, someone messaged me asking if I wanted to pick up another lot of cars because they found a listing, and I told them I actually don't pick up mini cars on their own. I pick them up only if they come as part of a lot, because they, unless I can move them in one of these things, and I've got another one here ready to go. Once I fill it up, I'll sell it for in the same way. To that point about bundling low value items, because these cars are $3 retail, we essentially sell them for $1 each plus the package. So with 20 cars, sorry, $2 each plus say $20 something for the Mack truck, it makes sense. If somebody bothers to break down the math, that's essentially what the math I do in my head when I price these. If I don't have the Mack truck individually, I don't really sell them unless they're rare, which means that if I buy a whole bunch of them, I don't have a Mack truck to move the rest. After I move the rare ones, not really worth me picking them up in the first place. That's kind of the logic. Yeah. This is Duplo Percy. So Duplo does really well for their rare figurines. And by rare, you guys have heard me say this before. The amount of Duplo in circulation, way less than the amount of adult Lego in circulation. There's way less fishing about when you're buying Duplo. Also, if you're buying bulk lots of Duplo, the special stuff sticks out like a sore thumb. You can sell them for profit, and then after that, release that bulk lot back onto Marketplace and probably make back most of your money anyways. So yeah, these this Percy sold for 20 bucks. He's even got all these scuffs on it. You probably don't even need a niche store to sell this, to be honest, because I don't think I've ever sold Duplo Thomas with any other Thomas stuff. But the rest of the Thomas stuff, they kind of cross between the ranges. But with Duplo, it hasn't really quite happened. So yeah, worth keeping an eye out for sure. So this buyer bought these two cars for $24.90. I asked them if they wanted to add more to their cart. They said, "Ooh, we'll check it out." But they're running short of time. And so then they just kind of did a grid scroll. They go, "Look, we've got this item. Can we get it for $7?" I said, "Yes." So yeah, $24.90 plus what, 25 to 7. That's a 30% increase in sales. Upsell, upsell, upsell. If you don't ask, you don't get. Quick reminder to do that. Ooh, I hear crying out. I hear crying. We are done sourcing now. So this morning we've packed our orders for over the weekend, hit up 3 op shops, and now heading to lunch with my parents and the wife and kids. I'd like to know how you guys, how do you work around holidays? I know a lot of you are full-time resellers and you work out of your house. What's it like during holidays? Do they do holiday programs? Is it a mix of, you know, going to the parents' house, friends' houses, taking turns with people in your community who, you know, someone has all the kids one day and then another person has all the kids one day? Or do you essentially just have them at home and they're fairly self-sufficient? I understand that age is also a factor. Obviously, if you've got younger kids, that's the logistics of that is more. It's more. For myself now, the kids are primary school, so we can keep them home. They do play quite well by themselves. They also want my attention when they're home, and I love that, which means that I need to manage that. So sometimes they'll be home and they'll play for about a couple of hours, and there's a rhythm to it as well. It's not as hectic as the thought of having kids at home during a workday might be. They'll play for a couple of hours, then, you know, they want some attention. They want to show me what they've done over the last 2 hours. Usually that kind of coincides with snack time, so then for me it's really having a fruit, cutting some fruit for them too, and sitting down, hearing what they've been up to. Then another couple of hours will pass, and then we'll have lunch together. And then another couple of hours will pass, and then usually by then, that 3 o'clock mark, if I'm being honest, that's the hardest part of the day to push through. So having them home is like, all right, let's just chill together. Usually I'll watch some TV, we'll have a nap, go out to the park. If I'm not feeling particularly nappy and one kid wants to sleep but one kid doesn't, then I'll lie down with the one that wants to sleep for a bit, and then after that I'll come and play with the other one. Yeah, this business lets us do that, and I am always very thankful that I have this kind of flexibility. The feeling that I had growing up was that my parents were always at work and they had to go to work, and I had to understand that. And of course, now that I'm a parent, I do understand what they were doing. They worked very, very, very hard to bring us here from Malaysia, and I appreciate that immensely. And it's but it's still that sense of, it would have been really cool to have them around more. And it's not, and when kids want that, they're not being ungrateful, they're just being kids. Kids need that attention, they need that dedicated time and thought. And so for me, when thinking about what it looks like to be a good dad, a career that involved me putting on a nice suit and going to work and then doing meetings after work, and potentially even thinking about work when I'm home, because the deals are crucial, or the company will make or lose millions, or like that kind of that narrative always felt like it didn't fit with what I wanted for my kids when I became a dad. And so this eBay business is that fit. I've said it many times on the channel as well. It's not a business that makes us fancy suit money. It's not. It could be, depending on the category, but as a business, the model itself is not one of those businesses, especially if you're running out of your house. So, for example, if I currently have a full-time income, I could easily double that just by selling something different that has twice the profit margin for the same amount of effort. But I choose not to do that because the current categories that I'm selling in have enough margin for me, and I do enjoy the work that I do. And I think oftentimes we find ourselves looking around to see what other categories we can get into. And of course, primarily the thing that we can measure is money. So we get drawn to the people who sell the things that require warehouses and require staff, and it feels like there's a lot of action there. Always remember that you can have all of that and still pull the same salary as the person who is just working from home selling one category. You have to factor in overheads, you have to factor in the the investment to actually get there in the first place. Sometimes there's also debt. At the moment we are debt free. From a business point of view, we've just kind of spun it upwards, and if you can keep it debt free as long as possible and operate out of your house, that will be my recommendation, especially if it's a fit for your family. The last thing you want is to be incurring the cost of being away from family, and then the cost of debt. And sure, you might say to yourself, as a lot of parents do, I'm investing for the future, but when the future comes, if there is no relationship, there is no bond, the most precious thing, I think, for a lot of parents who are further ahead than I am, is they wish that they had a stronger bond with their children. And so for me, that's like the primary thing: a strong bond with my kids and a strong bond with my wife. In terms of money, we can always make that later. And what's the worst case scenario? We are already currently providing for them, shelter, food, education. Like, the worst thing that can happen from this point forward is we don't scale the business up anymore. It just runs its course. We retire with a house that's fully paid off, and we live modestly. What's so bad about that? I know a lot of us want to have this, more and more and more and more, but there are also plenty of people who are happy who don't have that. And so, yeah, just something to think about, thinking about the fit, thinking about what are the things that we actually value when we're building the businesses that we build. And have conversation. I think that's probably the big part. Have conversation around your, if you want something, because you see something and you go, I wonder if that could be for me. Have a conversation about it with people that you trust, who will not just kind of knock it down if they don't think it's a fit, but actually help you to ask the right questions to break it down, to kind of go, okay, what exactly are the trade-offs? If you did have this but not that, would it be more worth it versus the other thing and not this? We've all had those conversations before, and those conversations, if done well, if done honestly and openly, genuinely, it's actually like it builds relationship, you know, with those people that give you that time and will willingly work it out with you. Those are the people that you start to trust and actually want to continue the journey with. And thankfully, with the internet, we can meet people anywhere. You know, I've made friends via our Discord community, via this YouTube community. Whereas in the past, you know, if I wanted to meet a business person, I would have to ask a business person who knew a business person, and hopefully go to a networking event potentially. Whereas by having this channel, I bring into my circle all of you, and those of you who have chosen to then join the Discord community to then get to know me on a more personal level. Those times when we happen to cross paths and work together in the video chats and whatnot. That's just something that I don't take for granted. Like, it's just amazing, the flexibility, the reach we have, not just to sell things but to also reach people. So yeah, thank you for being here, thank you for supporting the channel, thank you for just being kind within the reseller community and helping wherever you can. I'm gonna get lunch. As you can tell, I'm waiting a little bit. I am hungry. Then when we get back, we're gonna process all these clothing. The kids are gonna be home, so potentially do a bit of listing as well. Whilst my son wants to code a game for some STEM competition, so that'll be interesting. Interesting to see the kind of games that he comes up with. Being a kid now is cool. The amount of stuff they get to do, far out. You know, and just the amount of platforms that are made for kids to have a go. I mean, sure, it's a way to uncover talent. It's a way to, you know, find the gems globally. But it's just amazing the fact that kids can just turn on the computer, enter a site, and it's a site built by, you know, some education institution, whether it be a university or some college somewhere, and you know, they can just start coding. You know, they don't really have to jump through a ton of hoops to make it happen. Blows my mind.